The ice cracked beneath me like bones snapping, and then I was falling, tumbling, metal screaming, glass shattering, my 4 dogs howling in terror as the world turned upside down and the blizzard swallowed us whole. Hit like, subscribe for more betrayal stories, and comment your city or country. I don't remember the moment we stopped moving. I just remember the silence after. Thick, suffocating, broken only by the sound of my own ragged breathing and the whimpering of Rex, Duke, Sarge, and Bella somewhere in the darkness around me. My name is Jake Callahan. I'm a K-9 officer with the Mountain Ridge Police Department. Or, I was. Right now, I'm not sure if I'm anything at all. I tried to move. Pain exploded through my ribs like someone had driven a spike through my chest. Broken. Definitely broken. My left arm was pinned under something heavy. Maybe part of the dashboard, maybe the roof. Hard to tell. The vehicle was on its side, maybe upside down. Everything was wrong. Rex. My voice came out as a croak. Duke? Sarge? Bella? A whine answered me. Then another. Then all 4 of them. Thank God. They were alive. I blinked hard, trying to clear my vision. Snow. That's all I could see through what was left of the windshield. We were buried. The blizzard that had been chasing me for the last hour had finally caught up, and it had won. My radio was dead. My phone. I couldn't even reach it. My right hand fumbled around in the darkness until my fingers brushed something warm and wet. Blood. Mine, probably. How did I get here? The answer came back to me in flashes. The call from dispatch. Routine patrol. Check the mountain pass before the storm hit. Simple. Except the storm had hit early, fast, and vicious. I'd radioed in, said I was heading back down. That was how long ago? An hour? 2. And then the road disappeared. Just gone. Black ice, maybe. Or maybe I'd been so distracted, so caught up in my own head, that I didn't see the turn until it was too late. Emma. Her name hit me harder than the crash. Emma. My wife. The woman I'd loved for 8 years. The woman who'd been a stranger for the last 6 months. Cold. Distant. Always on her phone. Always somewhere else, even when she was sitting right next to me. I'd found the texts 3 days ago. I wasn't snooping. I swear I wasn't. Her phone had buzzed on the kitchen counter while she was in the shower, and I glanced at it. Just a glance. Can't wait to see you again. He's always working anyway. He'll never know. The contact name was just an initial. D. I didn't confront her. I didn't know how. What do you say to the person you thought you knew better than anyone? How do you ask your wife if she's been lying to your face every single day? So I did what I always do. I threw myself into work. Took extra shifts. Spent more time training the dogs. Anything to avoid going home and facing the truth. And now here I was. Buried alive in a metal coffin with my 4 dogs. Freezing to death in the middle of a mountain pass. And all I could think about was whether Emma even cared that I hadn't come home yet. Bella crawled closer to me, her warm body pressing against my side. She was the youngest of the 4, a German shepherd with a soft heart and sharper instincts than most humans I knew. She licked my face, whining softly. I know, girl, I whispered. I know. The temperature was dropping fast. I could see my breath in the air, white clouds disappearing into the darkness. How long did we have? An hour? Less. I tried the radio again. Static. Dead. My phone. I had to get to my phone. I twisted my body, biting down hard against the pain, and managed to pull my right arm free. My hand found my pocket. Empty. The phone must have been thrown somewhere in the crash. Rex barked once, sharp, urgent. He was my lead dog, my partner for 5 years. He didn't bark unless something was wrong. What is it, boy? He barked again, and then I heard it. Movement. Outside the vehicle. Something heavy, shifting through the snow. My heart kicked into overdrive. A bear? No. Wrong season. Wolves? Maybe. But wolves didn't usually come this close to wreckage. The sound came again. Closer this time. Deliberate. Circling us. Sarge growled low in his throat, his hackles rising. Duke and Bella pressed closer to me, their bodies tense. I held my breath. Whatever was out there, it wasn't trying to help. And then I saw it. Just for a second, through the cracked, snow-covered window. A shadow. Massive. Moving with purpose. It wasn't an animal. It was something worse. The shadow moved again, and this time I heard it. Footsteps crunching through snow, deliberate and heavy. Human. It had to be human. Help. I tried to shout, but my voice came out weak, broken. We're in here. Help us. The footsteps stopped. Silence. My dogs went rigid, ears pinned back, eyes locked on that snow-covered window. Rex's growl turned into a low, continuous rumble, his warning sound. The sound he made when something was very, very wrong. Then the footsteps moved away, fading, disappearing into the storm. No, wait. I pounded my free hand against the crumpled door, sending fresh waves of pain through my chest. Come back. Please. Nothing. Just the wind howling outside and the suffocating weight of snow pressing down on us. Whoever that was, they'd seen us. They had to have seen us. And they just walked away. My mind raced. Mountain pass. Middle of a blizzard. Who else would be out here? A hiker? No, too dangerous. Another officer? They would have helped. Unless they wanted me here. The thought hit me like ice water. Cold. Terrifying. Impossible. But was it? I closed my eyes, trying to breathe through the pain, trying to think clearly. Emma's face swam into my mind. The way she'd looked at me this morning before I left for my shift. Blank. Emotionless. Like she was already gone. Be careful out there, she'd said, barely glancing up from her coffee. No kiss. No hug. Just those empty words. When did we become strangers? I knew exactly when. 6 months ago. Right around the time Derek came back to town. Derek Ramsey. My former partner. My best friend. At least, he used to be. Derek had been a K-9 officer too, before he left the force and joined the Navy SEALs. Elite training. Specialized operations. He'd always been the golden boy. Charming, confident, the guy everyone wanted to be. I'd been proud of him when he made SEAL, proud to call him my friend. Then he came back 2 years ago. Quiet. Different. He wouldn't talk about why he left the SEALs, wouldn't talk about what happened overseas. Just said he needed a fresh start. Emma had been so happy to see him. They'd been friends in high school, before I even knew her. Derek's like family, she'd said when I asked why she was texting him so much. Don't be jealous, Jake. It's not a good look on you. So I'd ignored it. Ignored the late-night calls. Ignored the way she smiled at her phone. Ignored the sick feeling in my gut every time his name came up. Until 3 days ago when I saw that text. Derek. It had to be him. Bella whimpered, pulling me back to the present. She was digging at something near my feet. Snow that had packed in through a crack in the door frame. Her paws worked frantically, instinctively, creating a small hole. Good girl, I breathed. That's it. Keep going. Fresh air trickled in through the gap she'd made. Not much, but enough. Enough to buy us time. But how much time did we have? And would anyone even be looking for us? I'd told dispatch I was heading back down the mountain. They knew my route. But in this storm, with zero visibility, how long would it take them to realize I was missing? How long before they could even send a search party? Hours. Maybe longer. My ribs screamed with every breath. I could feel the cold creeping into my bones. That deep, dangerous cold that steals your thoughts and makes you want to sleep. I couldn't sleep. If I slept, I'd never wake up. Think, Jake. Think. My patrol vehicle had an emergency beacon. Automatic distress signal if the vehicle rolled or crashed. It should have activated. Should have sent my coordinates to dispatch. Unless someone disabled it. The thought made my blood run colder than the snow around me. No, that's paranoid. That's crazy. But was it? Derek had full access to the motor pool when he worked with us. He knew these vehicles inside and out. And if Emma told him my route, stop it. You're losing it. But I couldn't stop. Because the pieces were falling into place, and the picture they made was darker than the wreckage I was buried in. Emma's coldness. Derek's sudden return. Those texts. And now this. Me, trapped in the middle of nowhere, in a storm that came earlier than forecasted, on a route that only 3 people knew I was taking. Dispatch. Emma. And Derek, because Emma told him everything these days. My insurance policy. The one Emma had asked me to update last month. Just to be safe, she'd said. In case something happens on the job. I'd signed the paperwork without thinking twice. Made her the sole beneficiary. $1 million if I died in the line of duty. Oh God. No. I whispered into the darkness. No, that's not. She wouldn't. But even as I said it, I knew. Deep down, I knew. Rex pressed his nose against my face, his warm breath cutting through my spiraling thoughts. He was watching me with those dark, intelligent eyes, the eyes that had never lied to me, never betrayed me. We're getting out of here, I told him. Told all of them. I don't care what it takes. We're surviving this. Because I needed answers. I needed to look Emma in the eye and hear her say it. I needed to know if the woman I loved had tried to kill me. Outside, the wind howled louder. The temperature dropped another degree. And somewhere in the storm, that shadow was still out there. Watching. Waiting. Time stopped meaning anything. Minutes. Hours. I couldn't tell anymore. The cold had wrapped itself around me like a living thing, squeezing tighter with every breath. My dogs had pressed themselves against me, sharing what little body heat they had left. Rex on one side, Duke on the other, Bella curled against my chest, Sarge at my feet. We were dying. Slowly. Together. My thoughts drifted in and out, foggy and distant. Emma's face. Derek's laugh. The text message. He's always working anyway. He'll never know. I'd failed. Failed to see it coming. Failed to protect myself. Failed to. A sound cut through my spiral. Sharp. Urgent. Different from the wind. Barking. Not my dog's. Something else. Someone else's dog. Rex's head shot up, ears forward. He barked back. One sharp, powerful bark that cut through the storm like a gunshot. The barking got louder. Closer. And then I heard voices. Human voices, muffled by the wind, but unmistakable. Maverick's got something. This way. How far down? At least 30 feet. Vehicles completely buried. Move, move. Relief hit me so hard I nearly passed out. They'd found us. Someone had actually found us. The sound of digging started above us. Frantic, organized, purposeful. Snow being thrown aside. Tools hitting metal. My dogs started barking, all four of them howling with whatever energy they had left. We hear you, a voice shouted down. Strong. Authoritative. Military. Hang on. We're coming. 4 dogs. I tried to shout back, but my voice cracked. I have 4 dogs with me. Copy that. 5 souls on board. The digging intensified. I could hear multiple people now, working in coordinated bursts. These weren't amateurs. These were professionals. The roof of my vehicle groaned under the weight being removed. Light broke through, blinding, beautiful, impossible light. A face appeared in the gap. Male. 30s. Hard features carved by wind and discipline. Ice blue eyes that missed nothing. Hey there, officer, he said, his voice calm despite the chaos around him. My name's Lieutenant Ryan Carter, Navy SEAL Mountain Rescue Division. That's my partner Maverick who found you. We're getting you out. What's your name? Jake, I gasped. Jake Callahan. K-9 officer. Mountain Ridge PD. Ryan's eyes flicked to my dogs, then back to me. His expression shifted, respect, understanding. Fellow handler to fellow handler. Your dog's still mobile? I think so. Bella's favoring her left front leg. The others seem okay. Good. That's real good, Jake. Ryan turned his head, shouting to someone I couldn't see. Torres. Garcia? We need medical down here now. Officers got broken ribs, possible internal injuries. For K9S, one with a leg injury. Get the basket ready and call for a second evac unit. Copy. Ryan looked back at me, and his expression was all business now. Jake, I need you to stay with me, okay? Don't close your eyes. I know you're tired, but you gotta stay awake. Wasn't planning on dying today, I managed. A ghost of a smile crossed Ryan's face. That's what I like to hear. More of the roof was torn away. Another face appeared. Younger, Latino, with kind eyes. Lieutenant, the ravine's unstable. We've got maybe 10 minutes before the whole thing shifts. Ryan's jaw tightened. Then we work fast. Get those harnesses ready. Roger that. Ryan turned back to me. All right, Jake. Here's the situation. You're in a bad spot. The crash knocked you into a ravine, and this whole section is sitting on unstable snowpack. We need to extract you and your dogs before everything comes down. It's gonna hurt when we move you, but we don't have a choice. You with me? I nodded. Do it. That's a solid copy. The next few minutes were a blur of controlled chaos. Ryan and his team moved with precision that bordered on artistic. Harnesses were lowered. My dogs were secured one by one. Sarge first, then Duke, then Bella, who yelped when they lifted her but stayed calm. Rex refused to leave until they'd secured me. Loyal boy, Ryan muttered, working around Rex to get a harness under my arms. Reminds me of Maverick. How'd you find us? I asked through gritted teeth as they prepared to lift me. Ryan paused, just for a second. Your emergency beacon never activated. Dispatch lost contact with you 3 hours ago. Search grid was huge. But Maverick? He nodded toward the edge of the ravine where a massive Belgian Malinois stood, snow-covered and alert. He's trained for impossible finds. Picked up your scent half a mile out. My emergency beacon never activated. The words hit me harder than they should have, because that meant I was right. Someone had disabled it. Someone had wanted me to disappear into this storm and never come back. Jake. Ryan's voice cut through my thoughts. You still with me? Yeah, I'm here. Good. Because I need to ask you something, and I need you to be straight with me. Ryan's eyes locked onto mine, and there was something there. Recognition, maybe. Or suspicion. You said your name's Callahan. Jake Callahan. Mountain Ridge PD. That's right. You ever work with a guy named Derek Ramsey? My blood went cold. Colder than the snow. Colder than the grave I'd almost ended up in. How do you know Derek? Ryan's expression turned to stone. Because Derek Ramsey is the reason my brother's dead. And if he's anywhere near you, Jake, you're in more danger than this ravine. The ground beneath us shifted. A deep, terrible groan echoed through the wreckage. Lieutenant, someone shouted from above. It's going. We're out of time. Ryan grabbed my harness. Hold on. And then we were moving. Fast, violent, desperate. As the entire ravine collapsed behind us. The world became noise and motion and terror. I felt myself being yanked upward. Ryan's grip on my harness like iron. His team pulling us both through the collapsing snow. Metal shrieked behind us as my patrol vehicle disappeared into the white void, swallowed whole by the avalanche. Go, go, go. Ryan's voice cut through the chaos. Hands grabbed me from above, multiple sets, coordinated, pulling me over the edge and onto solid ground. I landed hard on my back, pain exploding through my ribs, stealing my breath. Get him to the basket. Move. Through the haze of pain, I saw my dogs being secured in specialized rescue carriers, Rex fighting the whole way, trying to get back to me. Then Maverick was there, massive, snow-covered, standing over me like some kind of guardian angel in fur, his dark eyes locked on mine. Easy boy, Ryan said, appearing above me. That's Jake. He's one of us. Maverick's tail gave a single wag, and then he was moving again, all business, helping his team secure the perimeter. I was strapped into a rescue basket, moved onto a sled, and then we were sliding down the mountain at terrifying speed. Ryan stayed beside me the whole way, one hand on the sled, guiding it through the storm. Stay with me, Jake, he kept saying. Just a little longer. Time fractured again. Helicopter blades. Noise. Motion. The world tilting as we lifted off. My dogs loaded beside me, all 4 of them secured but visible. Rex's eyes never left my face. And then Ryan's voice, close to my ear, cutting through everything else. You need to tell me about Derek Ramsey. Everything. Because if he's the reason you're out here, if he's the reason your beacon didn't work, you're not safe. Not even close. I wanted to tell him. Wanted to explain everything. But the edges of my vision were going dark, and the pain was pulling me under. Hospital first, I managed. Then, then I'll tell you everything. Ryan's expression was grim. Copy that. But Jake, when we land, you don't let Emma or Derek anywhere near you alone. Not until we figure out what's really going on. You understand? I nodded, barely. Good man. Mountain Ridge Medical Center appeared through the storm like salvation. The helicopter touched down on the roof, and suddenly I was surrounded by people in scrubs, voices rapid-fire medical jargon, my dogs being taken one direction while I went another. Wait, I tried to say. My dogs. They're going to the vet trauma unit. A nurse told me, her hands already working to cut away my uniform. Best in the state. They'll be taken care of. Right now, you need to focus on you. The ER was controlled chaos. X-rays. CT scan. For lines. Faces appearing and disappearing. 3 broken ribs. Moderate hypothermia. Severe bruising. Mild concussion. Lucky to be alive. I kept hearing that phrase. Lucky to be alive. Like luck had anything to do with it. Ryan appeared in my room 2 hours later, still in his tactical gear, Maverick at his side. The dog settled by my bed like he'd been doing it his whole life. Your dogs are stable, Ryan said without preamble. Bella's got a fractured leg, but it's clean. The others are bruised and cold, but otherwise fine. They're keeping them overnight for observation. Relief hit me hard. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank Maverick. Ryan pulled up a chair, his expression serious. Now talk. Derek Ramsey. How do you know him? So I told him. Everything. Derek being my partner. My best friend. His time in the SEALs. Coming back different. Emma reconnecting with him. The tech side found. The insurance policy. The disabled beacon. Ryan's expression grew darker with every word. Your wife changed your insurance policy last month. Yeah. Made herself the sole beneficiary. $1 million if I die on duty. And Derek knew your route today? Emma knew. And she tells Derek everything. Ryan was quiet for a long moment. Then he leaned forward, his voice low and dangerous. Derek Ramsey was dishonorably discharged from the SEALs 3 years ago. He was part of an operation in Afghanistan, mountain rescue, actually. My brother was on that team. My blood went cold. What happened? Equipment failure. Ropes that shouldn't have failed. Anchors that shouldn't have given way. 3 men died, including my brother. The investigation found evidence of sabotage, but they couldn't prove who did it. Derek was the logistics guy. He handled all the equipment prep. Ryan's jaw tightened. He walked away with nothing but a discharge. The rest of us knew the truth. He killed your brother. He killed 3 good men for reasons we never figured out. Money, maybe. Revenge for some perceived slight. Who knows? Ryan's eyes met mine. But here's what I do know. Derek has a pattern. Staged accidents. Equipment failures. Always makes it look natural. And he always has someone on the inside feeding him information. Emma. The thought made me sick. She wouldn't, I said. But even I could hear how weak it sounded. Emma. She's not a killer. Maybe she doesn't think she is. Maybe Derek convinced her it was just insurance fraud, just a way to get money and start fresh. Maybe she doesn't know he was planning to actually kill you. Ryan stood, Maverick rising with him. Or maybe she knows exactly what she's doing. Either way, you're a loose end now. You survived. That's a problem for them. Before I could respond, the door to my room opened. Emma stood there, perfectly put together despite the storm, her eyes red like she'd been crying. Behind her, wearing that familiar cocky smile, was Derek. Jake, Emma breathed, rushing toward my bed. Oh my God, Jake. When we heard about the crash, Ryan stepped between us, his hand resting casually on his sidearm. Maverick's ears went flat, a low growl building in his chest. That's close enough, Ryan said quietly. Derek's smile widened. Problem, Lieutenant? Yeah, Ryan said. You. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut. Derek's smile never wavered, but his eyes, cold, calculating, flicked between Ryan and me like he was measuring angles, calculating odds. Emma stood frozen halfway between the door and my bed, her face a mask of confusion. I don't understand, she said, looking at Ryan. Who are you? Lieutenant Ryan Carter, Navy SEAL Mountain Rescue Division, Ryan said, his voice flat, professional. The man who pulled your husband out of a ravine before he froze to death. Then why are you stopping me from seeing him? Emma's voice cracked, tears starting to form. Jake, tell him. Tell him I can. How do you know I was here? I interrupted, my eyes locked on Derek. Derek's smile widened. Emma got a call from the hospital. Standard next of kin notification. We came right away. That's interesting, Ryan said quietly. Because hospital protocol is to contact immediate family only. And the rescue was classified as a tactical operation due to the avalanche risk. There shouldn't have been any notifications until Jake was stabilized and cleared it himself. The smile slipped, just for a second. Derek recovered fast, but I saw it. Ryan saw it too. Maybe they made an exception, Derek said with a shrug. Look, Lieutenant, I get that you're trying to do your job, but Jake's my best friend. We go back years. So how about you step aside and let his wife see him? No. The word came from me, and it surprised everyone, including myself. Emma turned to me, hurt flashing across her face. Jake, what's going on? Why are you acting like this? The text messages, Emma. My voice was steady despite the pain radiating through my chest. I saw them. 3 days ago. On your phone. Her face went white. Jake, who's D, Emma? Who were you texting? The silence stretched out, brittle and terrible. Derek's expression shifted, the mask finally cracking, revealing something darker underneath. You should have died in that storm, Jake, Derek said softly, conversationally, like he was discussing the weather. You really should have. Emma gasped. Derek, what are you? Shut up, Emma. The words were sharp, vicious. Emma flinched like she'd been slapped. Ryan's hand moved to his weapon, but Derek just laughed. Relax, Lieutenant. I'm not armed. Hospital security made sure of that. He turned his attention back to me. You were supposed to disappear, Jake. Clean. Simple. Tragic accident in a blizzard. Nobody would have questioned it. But no, you had to survive. You and those damn dogs. You disabled my emergency beacon, I said. Of course I did. Motor pool access is easy when you still have friends on the inside. Derek's voice was almost admiring. You know what your problem is, Jake? You trust too easily. Always have. Made you a great partner back in the day. Made you an even easier target now. Emma was shaking her head, backing toward the door. No, you said. You told me it was just about the insurance. You said we'd file a claim for emotional damages after the divorce, that nobody would get hurt. And you believed me. Derek's laugh was cruel. God, you're even dumber than him. The pieces clicked into place, sharp and terrible. You've been manipulating her. Making her think I was planning to leave. Making her paranoid, insecure. You fabricated evidence, didn't you? Made her think I was the one having an affair, that I was going to take everything. Derek's smile was answer enough. Emma's legs seemed to give out. She grabbed the doorframe, tears streaming down her face. Oh God, what did I do? You helped me access Jake's schedule, his routes, his insurance information. You changed the beneficiary like I asked. Derek shrugged. You were useful, Emma. Nothing more. Ryan's voice cut through the room like a blade. You did the same thing in Afghanistan. Manipulated your team, sabotaged the equipment. 3 good men died because of you. Derek's expression finally showed genuine emotion, anger. Those men were weak. They never understood what it takes to survive. To win. My brother wasn't weak, Ryan said, his voice deadly quiet. He was a hero. And you killed him for what? Money? Pride? Does it matter? Derek turned back to me. The real question is, what happens now? You've got no proof, Jake. No evidence. Just paranoid accusations from a man who nearly died in a storm. Who's going to believe you? I reached under my hospital gown, my fingers finding the small device taped to my chest. The recording device Ryan had given me 15 minutes before Emma and Derek walked in. Everyone, I said, holding it up. Everyone's going to believe me. Derek's face went cold. Dead. And in that moment, I saw the real him. The killer hiding behind the charming smile. The door burst open. Two uniformed officers rushed in, followed by a man in a suit. Detective Marcus Chun, my friend from the department. Derek Ramsey, Marcus said, his badge out, his weapon drawn. You're under arrest for attempted murder, conspiracy to commit insurance fraud, and criminal sabotage. You have the right to remain silent. Derek moved fast, faster than I expected. He grabbed Emma, spinning her in front of him like a shield, his arm around her throat. Nobody moves, he snarled. Emma screamed. Ryan's weapon was up in an instant, aimed with perfect precision. Maverick was on his feet, teeth bared, waiting for the command. Let her go, Derek, Ryan said, his voice calm despite the chaos. There's nowhere to run. I've gotten out of worse, Derek hissed. He was backing toward the window, dragging Emma with him. You think this is over? You think? The door slammed open again. Standing in the doorway, injured leg in a cast, but eyes blazing with fury, was Bella. Behind her were Rex, Duke, and Sarge, all four of them free from the vet unit, all four of them focused on one target. Derek. How did? Derek started. Rex didn't wait for permission. He launched himself across the room with a snarl that shook the walls. Derek let go of Emma, stumbling backward. The officers rushed in, and just like that, it was over. Derek was on the ground, handcuffed, my dog standing over him like a conquering warrior. Emma collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Ryan holstered his weapon, and Marcus gave me a grim nod. Got everything on tape, Marcus said. Full confession. He's done. I looked at my dogs, all four of them now surrounding my bed, protective and loyal and alive. Good boys, I whispered. Good girl. As they led Derek out in handcuffs, he looked back at me one last time. This isn't over, Jake. But it was. I could feel it. Finally, it was. 3 days passed in a blur of police interviews, medical treatments, and lawyers. Derek was in custody, held without bail on multiple charges: attempted murder, conspiracy, insurance fraud, sabotage. The evidence was overwhelming. The recording I'd made, the disabled emergency beacon with his fingerprints on it, testimony from Ryan about the Afghanistan incident, financial records showing Derek had been receiving payouts from insurance scams for years. He'd built an empire on staged accidents and dead bodies. Emma cooperated fully. She sat across from me in a private room, her lawyer Helen Martinez present, and told me everything. He found me 6 months ago, Emma said, her voice hollow, at the coffee shop downtown. Said he'd been thinking about old times, wanted to reconnect. I thought it was innocent. Just an old friend. When did it change? Helen asked gently. About 3 months in. He started asking questions about you, Jake. About your schedule, your work. Said he was worried about you, that you seemed stressed. Emma's hands twisted in her lap. Then he started showing me things. Text messages he said were from your phone. Photos of you with another woman at a restaurant. He said you were planning to leave me, that you'd been seeing someone for months. They were fake, I said quietly. I know that now. Tears streamed down Emma's face. But I believed him. He was so convincing, so concerned. He said he wanted to help me protect myself, make sure you couldn't take everything if you filed for divorce first. The insurance policy, Helen prompted. Emma nodded. He said if I updated it, made myself the sole beneficiary, then at least I'd have financial security if you left. He made it sound reasonable, protective. Not. She broke down, sobbing. Not murder. God. Jake, I swear I didn't know he was going to hurt you. I thought it was just paperwork. Just insurance. I wanted to hate her. Wanted to be angry, righteous, vindictive. But all I felt was tired. Did you love him? I asked. Emma looked up, startled. What? Derek. Did you love him? No. The answer was immediate, genuine. No, Jake. I was angry at you, or what I thought you were doing. I was hurt and scared, and Derek was there, saying all the right things. But love? No. I never. She wiped her eyes. I never stopped loving you. Even when I thought you'd betrayed me. Helen leaned forward. Emma has provided a full statement to the police. She's agreed to testify against Derek in exchange for immunity. The DA believes her testimony is credible and that she was manipulated, not complicit. What about us? Emma asked, her voice breaking. Is there any way we can? No, I said softly. I'm sorry, Emma. But no. She nodded, fresh tears falling. I understand. Helen stood, helping Emma to her feet. The divorce papers will be filed this week. Jake's being more than fair in the settlement. You should consider yourself fortunate. After they left, I sat alone in the room, staring at nothing. Marcus appeared in the doorway, 2 cups of coffee in his hands. He handed me one without a word, then sat down. How you holding up? He asked. I don't know, I admitted. Everything I thought I knew? It's all gone. Not everything. Marcus nodded toward the window where Ryan stood outside with Maverick, talking to another officer. You've got allies. Good ones. Yeah. There's something else you need to know. Marcus pulled out a file, sliding it across the table. We've been digging into Derek's background. The Afghanistan incident that killed Ryan's brother? It wasn't about money or revenge. Then what? Power. Control. Derek was running an illegal operation on the side, smuggling weapons, selling information to local warlords. Ryan's brother found out about it, was going to report him. So Derek sabotaged the rescue to silence him and the other 2 men who knew. My blood ran cold. He killed 3 men to cover up war crimes. Among other things, we've connected him to at least 6 other accidents over the past 5 years. All of them looked natural. All of them had massive insurance payouts. And all of them had someone close to the victim feeding Derek information. Marcus's expression was grim. Emma wasn't the first person he manipulated. She was just the most recent. How many people has he killed? We don't know yet. But we're working with federal investigators now. This is bigger than we thought. I thought about Emma, broken and crying, genuinely believing she'd been protecting herself. I thought about Ryan, who'd lost his brother to this monster. I thought about all the other victims, all the other families destroyed by Derek's calculated cruelty. I want to testify, I said. You will. Trial set for 3 months from now. DA says it's going to be the biggest case this county's seen in decades. Marcus left shortly after, taking the file with him. I sat there, processing everything, until Ryan walked in with Maverick at his side. Heard Emma left, Ryan said, settling into a chair. How'd it go? As well as it could, I guess. I reached down, scratching Maverick behind the ears. The big dog leaned into my touch, his tail wagging slowly. She's testifying against Derek. Divorce will be final in a few months. And you? I don't know. Start over, I guess. Figure out who I am without her. Ryan was quiet for a moment. I've been thinking about something. Your dogs saved your life. All 4 of them. They're smart, trained, loyal. And from what I saw, they work well with Maverick. They're good dogs. They're more than that. They're exceptional. Ryan leaned forward. The Navy SEAL K-9 program is always looking for elite teams. Dogs that can handle extreme environments, high-stress situations, impossible rescues. I think your 4 would be perfect for it. You want to recruit my dogs? I want to recruit you too. Ryan's expression was serious. Train with us. Teach our handlers what you know. Help build the best K-9 rescue program in the country. We need people like you, Jake. People who understand what it means to trust their partner completely. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You think this is over? I'm not done with you. Not by a long shot. D. Derek. From jail. I showed Ryan the message. His jaw tightened. Change of plans, he said. We're putting protective detail on you until trial. Derek's got connections we're still uncovering. You think he'll try something? I think Derek Ramsey is a dangerous man who doesn't like losing. Ryan stood, Maverick rising with him. And right now, you're the one thing standing between him and freedom. The protective detail started immediately. 2 officers outside my hospital room at all times. Ryan and Maverick checking in twice daily. Marcus coordinating with federal investigators who are now involved because Derek's crimes cross state lines. I was discharged after a week, ribs still aching but healing. My dogs came home with me. all 4 of them cleared by the vet, even Bella with her cast. The department put me on medical leave with full pay while the investigation continued. 2 weeks after the arrest, I was called to a secure facility downtown for a debriefing with the federal team. Helen, my lawyer, insisted on being present. The conference room was sterile and cold. 3 federal agents sat across from me, their expressions unreadable. Marcus and Ryan flanked me on either side. Mr. Callahan, the lead agent, a woman named Special Agent Victoria Ross, began. We need to discuss the night Derek Ramsey was arrested. What about it? I asked. We've been reviewing security footage from the hospital, cross-referencing timelines, and we've found some inconsistencies. My stomach tightened. What kind of inconsistencies? Agent Ross slid a photograph across the table. It showed the hospital corridor outside my room, time-stamped the night of Derek's arrest. In the image, Ryan was clearly visible entering my room, 15 minutes before Emma and Derek arrived. Lieutenant Carter entered your room and was alone with you for 14 minutes, Ross said. During that time, hospital monitoring shows your heart rate spiked dramatically, then flatlined for approximately 8 seconds before returning to normal. I glanced at Ryan. His expression was carefully neutral. What are you suggesting? Helen asked sharply. We're not suggesting anything. We're stating facts. Ross pulled out another file. We've also discovered that the recording device found in Mr. Callahan's possession that night was military-grade equipment. Navy SEAL issue, specifically. Highly restricted. I gave him that device, Ryan said calmly. I had authorization. Did you? Ross's eyes were steel. Because according to Navy records, you reported that particular device as lost during a training exercise 2 months ago. You filed a formal report. Accepted disciplinary action for the loss. The room went silent. What's your point, Agent Ross? Marcus demanded. My point, Detective Chun, is that this investigation has several elements that don't add up. Ross turned her attention back to me. Mr. Callahan, I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I need you to answer honestly. Did Lieutenant Carter help you stage your cardiac event to draw out Derek Ramsey's confession? The truth hung in the air between us. I could lie, could deny everything, could protect Ryan and the incredible risk he'd taken to help me. Or I could trust that the truth, messy and complicated as it was, would set us all free. Yes, I said quietly. Helen closed her eyes. Marcus cursed under his breath. Explain, Ross commanded. So I did. I told them everything. How Ryan had suspected Derek wouldn't be able to resist gloating if he thought I was dead. How we'd used the monitoring equipment to simulate a flatline. How Ryan had given me the recording device because he knew Derek's pattern. The monster always returned to admire his work. It was entrapment, I finished. I know that. But it was also the only way to get Derek to confess. He's too smart, too careful. Without that confession, without him admitting what he'd done, we might never have gotten enough evidence to hold him. Ross was quiet for a long moment. Then she surprised me. You're right, she said. Derek Ramsey is too smart. Which is why we need to tell you something else we've discovered. She pulled out another file, thicker this time, with photographs paper-clipped to the front. Derek Ramsey didn't work alone. He never has. The photographs showed faces I didn't recognize. Men and women, various ages, different locations. These are Derek's known associates, Ross continued. Some are in custody. Others are still at large. But they all have one thing in common. They were part of Derek's insurance fraud network. And one of them, we believe, is currently inside the Mountain Ridge Police Department. The words hit like a physical blow. What? Marcus shot to his feet. That's impossible. We vetted everyone after Derek was arrested. Not everyone. Ross interrupted. She pulled out one more photograph. My blood turned to ice. The face staring back at me from the photo was Officer Brian Torres, the same Torres who'd been part of Ryan's rescue team. The same Torres who'd been in my hospital room that night. The same Torres who'd had access to my medical records, my schedule, my protective detail rotation. Torres has been feeding Derek information since before the crash, Ross said. We discovered encrypted communications between them dating back 8 months. Torres disabled your emergency beacon, Jake. Torres told Derek exactly where you'd be that day. And Torres has been monitoring this entire investigation, reporting back to Derek in custody. That son of a... Marcus started, but Ross held up her hand. Torres doesn't know we know. We've been watching him for the past week, letting him think he's still undercover. But tonight, we're moving to arrest him and sweep up the rest of Derek's network. Which means, she looked directly at me. You're in immediate danger. If Torres realizes we're closing in, you become a liability. A loose end that needs to be tied up. You're using Jake as bait, Helen said, her voice sharp with anger. No, Ross corrected. We're protecting him, but we need his cooperation. She turned to me. Jake, we want to move you to a federal safe house tonight. You and your dogs. Ryan will be part of your security detail. We'll keep you there until Torres and the others are in custody. How long? I asked. 72 hours. Maybe less if everything goes according to plan. I looked at Ryan, who nodded once. At Marcus, whose expression was torn between fury and worry. At Helen, who was already pulling out her phone to make calls. All right, I said. Let's do it. Ross stood, her team moving with military precision. Pack light. We leave in 1 hour. And Jake. She paused at the door. That staged cardiac event. Technically illegal, but it gave us the leverage we needed to flip 2 of Derek's associates into witnesses. So officially, it never happened. Understand. I understood. We were all breaking rules now. The question was whether we'd survive long enough to make it matter. The federal safe house was a nondescript cabin 40 miles outside the city, hidden in dense forest at the end of a private road. 2 black SUVs, both armored, had transported us there under cover of darkness. Ryan and Maverick in one vehicle with me and my dogs. Agent Ross and her team in the other. The cabin was equipped with surveillance equipment, reinforced doors, panic rooms, and enough firepower to start a small war. It felt less like protection and more like a prison. Make yourselves comfortable, Ross said as her team swept the property. You're going to be here for a while. Rex, Duke, Sarge, and Bella immediately claimed the living room, spreading out on the rug in front of the fireplace. Maverick joined them after a moment, and I watched as the 5 dogs formed an impromptu pack, protective, alert, but somehow at ease with each other. Ryan appeared at my shoulder, 2 mugs of coffee in his hands. They're good together, he said, nodding at the dogs. Yeah. I took the offered mug. They trust each other. That's rare. So is what you did. Trusting me enough to let me help stage that cardiac event. Ryan's expression was serious. That took guts. And faith. You saved my life in that ravine. Seemed like returning the favor was the least I could do. We stood in silence for a moment, watching the fire crackle and the dogs shift closer to each other for warmth. Ross briefed me on the plan, Ryan said finally. They're moving on Torres tonight at 2300 hours. That's not useless. Before I could respond, Agent Ross entered the room, her phone pressed to her ear. Her expression was tense. Understood. Keep me posted. She ended the call, her eyes finding mine. We have a problem. My stomach dropped. What kind of problem? Torres didn't show up for his shift tonight. He's in the wind. The room went silent except for the crackling fire. How? Ryan demanded. We had him under surveillance. Our surveillance team lost him 2 hours ago. He went into a convenience store, never came out the front. We checked. There's a back exit we didn't have covered. He knew we were watching. Someone tipped him off, I said. Ross's expression was grim. That's our assessment. Which means Derek has someone else inside that we haven't identified yet. Someone with access to our operation. The implications hit me like a physical blow. Derek's network was bigger than we thought. More connected. More dangerous. What about the other raids? Ryan asked. Still happening. 2300 hours as planned. But without Torres in custody, we can't guarantee your safety here. Ross pulled out her phone, typing rapidly. I'm calling for additional backup. Federal marshals. SWAT. We're going to lock this place down until the lights went out. Complete darkness. The fire provided the only illumination, casting dancing shadows across the walls. That's not the generator, Ross said, her weapon already drawn. Someone cut the external power. The dogs were on their feet instantly, all 5 of them growling toward the windows. Rex's hackles were raised, his body tense and ready. Positions. Ross barked into her radio. We have a potential breach. All units respond. Static. Radios are jammed. One of Ross's agents said from across the room. Cell phones too. We're completely dark. Ryan moved to my side, Maverick at his heel. Jake, with me. Panic room. Now. No. I grabbed my service weapon from where I'd holstered it on the chair. I'm not hiding while your people fight my battles. Jake, these are my dogs, Ryan. They're trained for this. And so am I. A window shattered in the back bedroom. Then another. Gas canisters rolled across the floor, hissing as smoke began to fill the cabin. Tear gas, someone shouted. Masks on. But we didn't have enough masks. Ross's team scrambled to distribute what they had, but there were only 4. I grabbed one, but before I could put it on, Rex barked once, sharp and urgent, and bolted toward the back of the cabin. Rex, no, I shouted, but he was already gone, disappearing into the smoke with Duke right behind him. They're tracking something, Ryan said, his voice muffled by his mask. Jake, your dogs are trained for search and rescue, right? Yeah, but then they're doing their job. Let them work. Gunfire erupted outside. Ross's perimeter team engaging with whoever was attacking the cabin. The smoke grew thicker, choking and blinding. Then I heard it. Rex's bark. Not his warning bark. His alert bark. The one he used when he'd found his target. He's got someone, I said, moving toward the sound despite the burning in my lungs. Ryan followed, Maverick at his side, both of them moving with practiced precision through the chaos. We found Rex and Duke in the back hallway, blocking a figure dressed in full tactical gear from advancing. The figure had a weapon raised, but my dogs had him cornered, snarling and snapping at any movement. Ryan's weapon came up. Drop it. Federal agent. The figure hesitated, then slowly lowered his weapon and pulled off his mask. It wasn't Torres. It was someone I knew. Someone I'd worked with for 3 years at the Mountain Ridge PD, Officer Daniel Crawford. My friend. My colleague. The second mole. Sorry, Jake, Crawford said, his voice flat. Nothing personal. Just business. And then the cabin exploded. The explosion wasn't massive, controlled, targeted. Just enough to blow out the back wall of the cabin and create chaos. I was thrown backward, slamming into Ryan, both of us crashing to the floor as debris rained down around us. My ears rang, vision blurred, smoke everywhere, tear gas mixed with dust and fire. But through it all, I heard my dogs. Barking, snarling, fighting. Jake! Ryan's voice cut through the ringing. He was pulling me to my feet, Maverick pressed against his side. You hit. I did a quick assessment. Bruised. Battered. But whole. I'm good. Where's Crawford? Gone. Bastard used the explosion as cover. Ryan's jaw was tight with fury. But he's not getting far. Come on. We moved through the wreckage, Ryan's tactical training guiding us through the smoke. Outside, gunfire had intensified. Ross's team was engaged in a full firefight with what sounded like at least a dozen attackers. How many? I shouted over the noise. Too many. Ross appeared from the smoke, blood streaming from a cut on her forehead. This isn't just Torres and Crawford. Derek's entire network is here. They're making their move. Take us all out, eliminate all the witnesses, and Derek walks on a technicality. Where are my dogs? I demanded. Last I saw, they went after Crawford. Jake, you need to get to the panic room. We can't protect you out here. I'm not hiding. I pulled my weapon, checking the magazine. Those dogs are my responsibility. I'm getting them back. Rex's bark echoed from the woods, his attack bark, the one that meant he'd engaged a threat. I didn't think. I just ran. Behind me, Ryan cursed and followed, Maverick at his heels. We crashed through the tree line, following the sound of the dogs. Branches tore at my face. My ribs screamed with every step. But I kept moving. We found them in a small clearing 50 yards from the cabin. Rex and Duke had Crawford pinned against a tree, teeth bared, preventing him from reaching the weapon that had fallen just out of reach. Sarge and Bella circled, cutting off any escape route. But Crawford wasn't alone. Torres stood 10 feet away, his weapon trained on my dogs. "Call them off, Jake," Torres said, his voice eerily calm. "Or I put them down. All 4 of them." "You pull that trigger," Ryan said, his own weapon now aimed at Torres, "and you're dead before the echo fades. Then we all die." Torres's smile was cold. "That works too." Crawford laughed, despite his position pinned against the tree. "You don't get it, do you, Jake? This is bigger than Derek. Bigger than all of us. We're just pieces in a machine that's been running for years." "The insurance fraud network," I said, my weapon shifting between Torres and Crawford. "How many of you are there?" "Enough," Crawford said. "Cops, lawyers, insurance adjusters, medical examiners. All getting paid to look the other way while Derek arranged his accidents. You think taking down a few of us matters? The machine keeps running. Not after tonight." Agent Ross's voice cut through the clearing. She emerged from the shadows, 5 federal agents with her, all armed, all trained on Torres and Crawford. "We've been monitoring Derek's communications for weeks. Every phone call, every visitor, every coded message. We know about all of you." Torres's expression flickered, just for a second. Doubt. Fear. "You're bluffing," he said. "Try me." Ross pulled out her phone, tapping the screen. A recording played, Derek's voice, clear and unmistakable, giving orders from his jail cell. Names, locations, payment amounts, everything. That's illegal surveillance," Crawford sputtered. "It'll never hold up in court." "Federal wiretap warrant, signed by Judge Patricia Morrison 3 weeks ago," Ross said. "Completely legal, completely admissible, and completely damning." She looked at Torres. "It's over. Put the weapon down." For a long moment, nobody moved. The forest was silent except for the distant gunfire from the cabin, Ross's team still engaging Derek's other associates. Then Torres lowered his weapon. "Smart choice," Ross said. 2 agents moved in, securing Torres and pulling Crawford away from my dogs. Rex stayed in position until I gave the release command, then immediately returned to my side. "Good boy," I whispered, my hand finding his head. "Good boy." The gunfire at the cabin stopped. Ross's radio crackled to life. "All hostiles down. Area secure. 3 suspects in custody, 2 wounded. No casualties on our side." Ross nodded, satisfaction crossing her face. "Copy that. We're bringing in 2 more." As they led Torres and Crawford away, Crawford looked back at me one last time. "Derek will never forgive you for this, Jake. You know that, right? He'll find a way. He always does." "Then I'll be ready," I said. The cabin was a disaster zone. Bullet holes, scorch marks, shattered windows. But Ross's team had held. 6 of Derek's associates were in custody. 3 more were wounded and heading to hospitals under armed guard. The network was broken. I sat on the porch steps as dawn broke over the mountains, my 4 dogs pressed against me, exhausted but alive. Maverick had claimed the spot at my feet, his head resting on my boot. Ryan appeared with 2 cups of coffee, handing me one. "Quite a night." "Yeah, your dogs saved your life." "Again. They tend to do that." We sat in silence for a moment, watching the sunrise paint the forest gold. "The offer still stands," Ryan said quietly. "K-9 training program. SEAL rescue operations. You and your team. I don't know if I'm ready for that," I admitted. "Everything's still complicated. Take your time." "But Jake," Ryan turned to look at me, "you're one of the best handlers I've ever seen. And those dogs trust you with everything they have. That's rare. Don't waste it." Agent Ross approached, her face cleaned of blood but wearing exhaustion like a second skin. "We need you back at headquarters. Derek's lawyer is screaming about his rights being violated. The DA wants you to review the evidence before the arraignment tomorrow." "Tomorrow? The trial?" The end of this nightmare. Or maybe just the beginning of a new chapter. I looked at my dogs, Rex, Duke, Sarge, Bella, and at Maverick, who'd become part of our pack in just a few short weeks. Let's finish this, I said. The federal courthouse was a fortress. Armed marshals at every entrance. Metal detectors. Bomb-sniffing dogs. Agent Ross had made it clear. Derek's trial was the highest security case the district had seen in decades. I sat in the witness preparation room, Helen beside me, reviewing my testimony for what felt like the 100th time. My dogs were in a secure facility nearby, under guard. Ryan had volunteered to stay with them, along with Maverick. You ready for this? Helen asked, her eyes searching my face. As ready as I'll ever be. The door opened. District Attorney Patricia Morrison entered, a woman in her 50s with steel-gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. Behind her was a younger woman I didn't recognize. Jake, Patricia said, extending her hand. Thank you for being here. I know this hasn't been easy. Just want to see justice done. You will. She gestured to the woman beside her. This is Assistant DA Lauren Hayes. She's been working the Emma Callahan angle. My stomach tightened at my wife's name. Ex-wife. Technically, the divorce had been finalized 2 weeks ago. Emma's testimony is going to be crucial, Lauren said, sitting down across from me. She's cooperating fully, but there's something you need to know before you go in there. What? Lauren exchanged a glance with Patricia. Emma wasn't just manipulated by Derek. She was blackmailed. The words hung in the air. What? I leaned forward. What are you talking about? Derek had fabricated evidence that Emma was embezzling from her employer, Mountain Ridge Community Hospital, Lauren explained. Fake financial records, doctored emails, even false testimony from a supposed witness. He threatened to turn her in unless she helped him. My mind reeled. She never told me. Because Derek convinced her you were in on it. That you were the one who discovered the embezzlement and were planning to use it against her in a divorce. Patricia's expression was grim. He played you both against each other. Classic divide and conquer. The texts I saw on her phone. All fabricated. Derek had cloning software. He made it look like you were having an affair, made it look like Emma was having an affair with him. Neither was true. Lauren pulled out a file. We had forensic digital analysts go through everything. Derek Ramsey is a master manipulator. He's done this at least 9 times before. 9 other victims. 9 other families destroyed. Why didn't Emma tell me the truth after Derek was arrested? Shame. Fear. She thought you'd never believe her. Patricia's voice softened. Jake, Emma loved you. She still does. Everything she did because she thought she was protecting herself from you. When she realized the truth, it broke her. The courtroom doors opened. A bailiff appeared. They're ready for you, Mr. Callahan. The courtroom was packed. Press in the gallery. Derek's remaining associates, some in handcuffs, seated behind the defense table. Derek himself sat perfectly still, his expression unreadable, his eyes locked on me as I entered. I took the witness stand, was sworn in, and began my testimony. For 3 hours, I walked the jury through everything. The crash, the disabled beacon, the insurance policy, the recording, Derek's confession, the attack on the safe house. Every detail, every moment, every piece of evidence that connected Derek to attempted murder, conspiracy, and fraud. Derek's lawyer tried to shake me on cross-examination, but Helen had prepared me well. I stayed calm, factual, unshakable. Then it was Emma's turn. She walked to the stand looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. Pale, exhausted, but determined. Her testimony was devastating. She described how Derek had approached her, how he'd slowly built her trust, how he'd shown her the fake evidence of embezzlement, how he'd convinced her I was planning to destroy her. I thought I was protecting myself, Emma said, her voice breaking. I thought Jake was the enemy. And by the time I realized the truth, it was almost too late. Do you still love your husband? Patricia asked gently. Ex-husband, Emma corrected, tears streaming down her face. And yes, I never stopped loving him. Even when I thought he'd betrayed me, even when I helped Derek. Some part of me never stopped loving Jake. She looked directly at me. And I will spend the rest of my life regretting what I did. The courtroom was silent. Then Derek laughed. It was soft at first, then louder, echoing through the room. The judge banged his gavel, demanding order, but Derek just kept laughing. "You stupid woman," Derek said, his voice dripping with contempt. "You actually believe that? You actually think he'll forgive you?" "Mr. Ramsey," Judge Harrison's voice boomed, "you will remain silent or be removed from this courtroom." "She's pathetic," Derek continued, ignoring the judge. "They're all pathetic. Every single person I've ever manipulated. So easy. So predictable. Emma, Torres, Crawford, all the others. They practically begged to be used." The judge signaled the bailiffs, but Patricia held up her hand. "Let him talk," she said quietly. And Derek did. He bragged about his schemes, his intelligence, his superiority. He described in detail how he'd planned my death, how he'd manipulated Emma, how he'd built his network. Every word was another nail in his coffin, and he didn't even realize it. The jury watched, horrified. Finally, the bailiffs dragged him out, still talking, still laughing. The trial lasted 3 more days. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Derek Ramsey was sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole. Torres and Crawford got 25 years each. The other associates received sentences ranging from 10 to 30 years. It was over. Outside the courthouse, Emma waited by her car. I almost walked past her, but she called my name. "Jake, please. Just 1 minute." I stopped, turned, looked at the woman I'd once promised to spend my life with. "I'm sorry," she said simply, "for everything. I know it doesn't change anything. I know we're done. But I needed you to hear it one more time. I'm sorry." "I know," I said. And I did. I could see it in her eyes, the genuine remorse, the pain, the regret. "I forgive you, Emma. I don't know if I can ever forget, but I forgive you." She nodded, fresh tears falling. "Thank you. That's more than I deserve." She drove away, and I watched her go, feeling something inside me finally let go. Ryan appeared at my side, my 4 dogs with him, all of them wearing official Navy SEAL K-9 unit vests. "Ready for your new life, Officer Callahan?" he asked with a slight smile. I looked at Rex, Duke, Sarge, and Bella, at Maverick, who'd become part of our family, at Ryan, who'd become my friend. "Yeah," I said. "I'm ready." 6 months later, the mountain looked different in summer. Where there'd been snow and death and desperation, there was now green forest, wildflowers, and the sound of running water from the streams that fed the valley below. I stood at the edge of the ridge, Rex beside me, looking down at the ravine where my life had almost ended. "You come here a lot?" Ryan's voice came from behind me. "First time since the trial," I admitted. Needed to see it. Needed to remember I survived. Ryan moved to stand beside me, Maverick at his side. And I'm grateful. I looked at Rex, who'd been watching me with those intelligent, knowing eyes. For all of it. The crash, the rescue, the betrayal, all of it led me here. Here was the Navy SEAL K-9 Mountain Rescue Training Facility, a sprawling compound 40 miles from where Derek had tried to bury me. For the past 4 months, I'd been training handlers and their dogs in extreme rescue operations. Rex, Duke, Sarge, and Bella had become the program's demonstration team, their coordination and skill inspiring dozens of new K-9 units. My dogs had saved lives. 11 rescues in 4 months. Hikers, climbers, skiers caught in avalanches, people who would have died if not for the training and dedication of these incredible animals. "You've built something special here," Ryan said. "The program's already being adopted by rescue operations across 5 states. That's because of you, Jake. It's because of them." I gestured to where Duke, Sarge, and Bella were running through drills with new handlers, their movements precise and confident. "I just help people understand what they're capable of." Ryan smiled. "That's leadership, and you're damn good at it." We stood in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the valley below. So much had happened. Derek was in maximum security federal prison, his appeals exhausted. Torres and Crawford were serving their sentences. Emma had moved across the country, started over, sent me one letter that I'd read once, and then filed away. She was seeing a therapist, trying to rebuild her life. I hoped she found peace. As for me, I'd found purpose. There's something I want to show you, Ryan said, pulling out his phone. He showed me a video, a news report about a family rescued from a collapsed mine shaft in Colorado. The rescue team featured prominently was a K-9 unit we'd trained 2 months ago. They credited our program, Ryan said. Said the techniques you taught them made the difference between life and death. I watched the father embrace his children, watched the rescue dogs being praised as heroes, and felt something warm settle in my chest. This was what mattered. Not the betrayal, not the pain, but what came after, what we built from the ruins. That evening, we gathered around a bonfire at the training facility. 20 handlers, their dogs, Ryan's core SEAL team, and a few guests who'd come to celebrate the program's success. Marcus was there, having driven up from Mountain Ridge. Helen, too, who'd become a friend in the aftermath of the trial. I stood to address the group, Rex at my side as always. 6 months ago, I almost died on this mountain. I began. Someone I trusted tried to take everything from me. My life, my career, my future. And for a while, I thought he'd succeeded. Even after I survived, even after justice was served, I felt lost. The fire crackled, casting dancing shadows across the faces watching me. But then I came here, and I realized something important. Betrayal doesn't define us. What we do after the betrayal, that's what defines us. I looked at my dogs, at Ryan, at everyone who'd helped me rebuild. I chose to build something good, to take the worst moment of my life and turn it into something that saves lives. And I couldn't have done it without every person here. Applause rippled through the group. Rex barked once, his tail wagging, and the other dogs joined in, a chorus of celebration. As the evening wound down and people began to drift away, I found myself alone by the fire with my dogs. They pressed close, the way they always did, their presence a constant reminder that loyalty still existed in this world. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. For a second, my heart stopped. Derek? But no. The message was from Emma. Saw the news report about the Colorado rescue. I'm proud of you, Jake. You took the worst thing that ever happened to us and made something beautiful from it. That's who you always were. I just forgot for a while. Be well. E. I stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it. Not out of anger, but out of closure. That chapter was finished. It was time to focus on what came next. Rex nudged my hand with his nose, pulling me back to the present. You're right, boy, I said, scratching behind his ears. No looking back. Only forward. The stars above the mountain were brilliant, undimmed by city lights. I thought about the man I'd been before the crash, comfortable, complacent, blind to the cracks in my foundation. And I thought about the man I'd become, stronger, wiser, more grateful for the people and animals who'd proven their loyalty when it mattered most. Derek had tried to destroy me. Instead, he'd forged me into something better. And that was the best revenge of all.